We talked about the session management. Let's proceed further and talk about address and port translation. Cisco Unified Border Element actually provides a demarcation between your enterprise network and your IP telephony service provider. The only IP address which gets revealed to the IP telephony service provider is configured on this port. So the Cube SBC router is really providing you security, and no enterprise wants their topology, their connectivity, the IP addresses, the host name, etc., to be revealed outside to the service provider. So in this way, Cube router is acting like a firewall from outside world to inside world. It's hiding all the IP address. It's also hiding the connectivity, the topology from the outside world. IP addresses could be like your Cisco Unified Communication applications like Call Manager Server, the voicemail server, the contact center servers, the switches, the internal routers, maybe the IP phones, IP addresses. Everything is not revealed to the outside world. We talked about session management, address and port translations. Let's talk about signal interworking. In a typical Cube deployment, you would generally see these days both the call legs would have SIP protocol from unified communication servers to the Cube router or from the Cube router to the IP telephony service providers. Both will generally be talking over SIP. You may find HC23 to HC23 as well. Cube is well capable of doing that. It's not a problem. The only time that you need to be concerned about is what happens when you have got one leg to be SIP, the other SC23. Well, SIP Cube SBC routers are well capable of doing signal interworking. On the LAN side, you're receiving signals on the SIP protocol. The dial peers are sending signals over SIP. The dial peers on the WAN side are sending signals to the IP telephony service provider on SC23. Similarly, the service provider has been sending the calls over SC23, and your Cube is terminating that signal and converting them to talk to the unified communication manager servers over SIP protocol. Vice versa is also possible. Unified communication to the Cube communication is happening over SC23, and then your Cube router to the IP telephony service provider, the PSTN network, is talking to you over the Cube router. Anything and everything is possible. SIP to SIP, SC23 to SIP, SIP to SC23, everything is supported, and Cube is capable of doing it all for you. The conversation that happens between end to end users, that's very important. That's media. The Cube is well capable of handling many kind of media. In terms of codec negotiation, on one hand, there could be certain set of codecs. On the other, there could be some other kind of codecs. The devices let it for the Cube to decide which codec they will be talking to each other, because media, the RTP stream, goes through the Cube by default. So Cube is capable of selecting the codec best suited for them. The device on the left-hand side has certain codecs which are supported: G711A law, 29A, 29B, ILBC, G722, maybe some other codecs. And on the right-hand side, similarly, a set of codecs that the right device in the VoIP system can support. It's the duty of the Cube that now it can negotiate on behalf of both the parties which codec that will be supported. Cube selects G711 for them, and the media starts to stream. No matter what all preference lists they have, based on the capabilities of both the endpoints, Cube selects the best suited codec and the call continues. When both the dial peers have been configured to use the codec preference list and the devices are independent, are free to negotiate with each other, Cube can act as a transparent device. It can let the phones to communicate with each other, which protocol they do agree with, which codec they agree with for the media stream to flow. In this case, the phones can negotiate on G729A. And if there is no negotiation that happens and the codec, and in this case, if there is no negotiated codec, the Cube can provide media resources like a transcoder. So as a unified communication expert, we are required to do the configuration accordingly, whether the Cube will decide the codec to be selected or it's going to remain transparent for the devices to sort it out themselves.